Yo, what's going on, guys? Versal here, and today I'll be going over the Jurac dinosaur deck list that managed to get top 8 at the Fort Worth, Texas regional. This regional had around 500 players, so to get top 8 at that is definitely a huge accomplishment, especially with Jurac. I've been telling you guys a lot since these cards came out that I think this is the best way to play dinosaurs if you're looking to get results, and I think this is just more proof of that. There was another regional in Seattle the week before as well, where there were two people on Jurac with Ryugi, and they were both, I believe, within like two or three spots of getting their invites. So Jurac's definitely capable of doing well, whether it's at your locals or if you're trying to get an invite with it. Um, I do think it is the best way to play dinos just because it has some one card combos. The way the deck kind of plays into the format is better than regular dinos because like the meteor destructions are very powerful right now and they play well into the format. But that being said, huge congratulations to the guy that got top 8. He made a deck profile already. I'll leave a link to it in this description uh, if you want to hear kind of some of his choices more in depth. But I just wanted to go over the list and kind of talk about some of the choices. It is pretty similar to the last one that I posted. So I don't know if you watched any of my videos or not, but um, either way, it's good to see that a lot of the Jurac players are kind of coming to similar conclusions when it comes to playing the deck in a more like pure sense. But with that being said, I'll just get right into the deck profile. If you haven't subbed to the channel, definitely do that now. Drop a like, comment, all that good stuff. It all helps me out. So he played a clean 40 cards, which I think is definitely understandable because the deck doesn't have like a ton of starters, so you really want to see your starters. So let's start off with the monsters. We have 3 Stegos, 3 Megalo, and 2 Aolo. This is for the Jurac portion. It's a pretty standard ratio. This doesn't really change in any of the lists unless you're deciding to go for like the dump a level 10 and do the Titano plus Megalo route, which I think is just a lot worse than this personally. But yeah, this is pretty standard. And for like the other dinosaurs, we have the 1 Miss, the 1 Meteorus, 1 Baby, and 1 Petite, and then 3 Oviraptors and 1 UCT. So this is the same ratio that I showed you guys in my last video as well. I think this, if you're gonna play the babies, I think playing just one of each is good because you don't really want to draw this a ton. It's like if you draw one, it's cool. It can combo with your ground Xeno, or you can use it for follow-up purposes. But they add a little bit to the deck. I'm still not fully decided on if I want to keep them in or not moving forward. But um, this guy came to a similar conclusion that if you're going to play them, you want to play a more minimal package just because they're okay, but they're not like the best thing to open. Then 3 OVs. I think this is correct and pure as well because it has 2 card combos with the Megalo, the Misk. This is the best card to draw with Volcano as well because you can start with this beta hand trap, and if they hit that, you can Volcano, get into your Stego, and just do your 1 card Jurac combo that way. So I think if you're gonna play Meteors and the babies, I think this is definitely the perfect ratio to play all these cards in. So yeah, he was definitely on point with that. So for the spells and traps that are not hand traps, he played 2 Volcano. I usually like 3 in this kind of list, but I think playing 2 is also fine. He decided to play the Jurac Impact instead of the third, which I think is definitely a valid thing to do. The Impact, although I feel it's win more a lot of the time as an end board piece, it can be really good in certain situations, especially if you're making 2 Esteros in the field to where you get to set a Jurac spell or trap twice in a turn instead of once. It's really nice to be able to have that second card to set off it, and just being able to have agency to set off your nuke whenever you want to with the impact, as opposed to just kind of your opponent forcing you into it. at certain points. It's just good to be able to do it whenever you want to, and this gives you just a fourth nuke, even though you can only do it 3 times since you only have 3 meteors. Otherwise, but with this card, you don't actually summon a meteor off it, so it gives you that fourth nuke that you otherwise wouldn't have. I still think if you get to that point where you're resolving all these nukes, you're never really gonna need more than 3. But the fact that it's there can be good. Um, Mainly, I think if you're ever in a situation where all you can do is make an Astero on field and you can't cycle through like your OV to start popping like Megalos or anything to get that extra Astero already set up in grave, I think having an Astero on field and impact set is better than Volcano in those situations where you can't get the Astero set up in grave. So I think Impact's definitely an interesting card. Um, Maybe we'll experiment with it a little more myself, but yeah, he decided to play it, and I think he said it was good for him. 3 fossil digs, obviously, for consistency. 1 ground Xeno. In my list, I had 2 of these, which I think 1 or 2 is fine. I don't think it's a card you necessarily want to max out on. Um, I'm assuming he only played 1 just because you don't really ever want to see multiples of it, and it only really works with a few of your cards. But I think it's good either way. It combos with your babies. It combos with OV. If you normal summon a Stego and it gets stopped, for example, you can also ground Xeno into Meteorus and ditch like an extra card in your hand or something, and then you can hard make a Stero that way. And in those situations, like I just mentioned with the impact, you wouldn't be able to really take your combo further. So being able to set impact instead of Volcano there would be pretty good. Then 1 prosperity. I think this card's really good in pretty much all the Jurac variants that isn't the Fiendsmith one because you have like a tighter extra deck in that. But prosperity is really good, just more consistency. And then the 1 called by, which I think this you have to play this card. It hits so many different hand traps. It hits so many different engine pieces, whether you're going first or second. So I think this card's really good, and you have to play it. But this stuff's pretty nothing too crazy yet. Then the hand traps. He decided to just play all hand traps for the rest of his non-engine, which I definitely don't disagree with. I've been leaning towards hand traps more myself as well. He played 3 Fua, 3 Perulia, 3 Ash Blossom, 3 Drolls, and 3 Imperms. So it's like a pretty standard hand trap ratio that we saw a lot last format. I think this format, Fua is really good, Ash is really good, and Imperm is really good. I think between Perulia and Droll, I don't love main decking both of these personally because I think last format we needed to because like Mitsu Raizio was like the best deck, and you really needed to see like Fua, Perulia, or Droll against that deck. But right now, there's like Yummy, Draco Tail, and Canine decks, which are kind of the most popular thing going around. And Perulia's not very good against Yummy or Draco Tail, in my opinion. And then Droll, kind of the same thing. Draco Tail sets a lot of their cards from deck. Yummy places from deck. They don't really need to search too much. It can be good against some of the Canine decks, but if they have a Zuna in hand or like their first action, case of Canine search and a Zuna or something, like Drolling kind of feels bad there sometimes because they can just go and start doing Canine stuff. But I think one of these is okay to main. I don't like maining both, but it worked out for him. Based on his matchups, I think Droll was probably pretty good in around half of them, or maybe slightly more than half of them. So maybe it was a good card for him throughout the day. I'm not really sure. Same goes for Perulia. Um, I'm curious which one did better, or if they both kind of just felt okay or underperformed, whatever. But these are the cards that I feel like one in the side or one in the main makes a little more sense right now, but it worked out for him. But yeah, for me personally, I haven't been a huge fan of playing both of them together. So that's it for the deck. 40 cards. It's nothing too like crazy in terms of spice. It's just more of a standard Jurac deck, which is a good thing. It shows that Jurac on its own just has enough legs to do well. So for the extra deck, start off with 3 Meteors, 3 Esteros, and the Velfido. These are like the same 7 you'll see in every single Jurac deck because you need all 7 of them. Then the 1 Chenying, you can go on to this on your turn 3 sometimes, which is nice. Dolka comes out sometimes. Giga Cannon for time and to help end games. Dugares to help end games. He opted not to play the Lagia, which I think is whatever. It doesn't come up that much, but I like having it in personally. Then his last 4 cards were Hida, Princess, Raging Phoenix, and Zelantis. He said that these didn't come up a single time for him, and I believe that because when I was trying these cards a while ago when this stuff first came out, I found that they weren't really necessary for the most part. They come up very rarely, but they could be good to have. The like back half of this extra deck outside the 7 Jurac cards is kind of just whatever for the most part. The only ones you use like constantly are the Giga Cannon and Dugares for the most part, and then like Dolka and Chenging are pretty situationally good. But the other ones is like whatever. You could play like SP, you could play Lagia, whatever. It doesn't really make too much of a difference, but yeah, he said like these 4 didn't come up a single time in the tournament, so which I'm not surprised by at all. So for the side deck, he played 1 UCT, 1 Pank, and 1 Doggerin. I thought this was kind of interesting, siding the second UCT. I don't think it's necessarily bad because sometimes just drawing UCT is pretty good, and it can help you in grind games. I think in Master Duel, where there's 3 Misc, a second UCT would make more sense. But the TCG, I'm not sure how much the second one really comes up. I'm not sure if he mentioned it in his deck profile, but I don't think you necessarily need to be siding a UCT or playing 2. Then Pink and Doggerin, since they're searchable by Ovi, I don't think you do that a lot in this version of the deck, to be honest, but it can be nice for when it comes up. And they're just good cards, as even if you're not searching them. So just the fact that they can sometimes be searchable is just a bonus. But if you have a hand where it's like Ovi and Volcano, you can use the Ovi to add one of these and then out something on their field. And then you can use the Volcano to pop the Ovi, go into your Jurac combo. So that could potentially be something that comes up. So I don't think playing these cards is bad at all. I've been playing the Pankratops as well in my deck. I think Doggerin's fine as well. If Lunalite was a more popular deck, I would definitely side one of these as well. But that deck kind of seems like nobody's playing it. But a deck like that is pretty scary when it's flying under the radar. Then he played 2 Lancia. He cut it down to 2, assuming just expected less Malice, which a lot of people have moved off Malice at this point. But that deck is still terrifying if you come up against it and aren't prepared. The 2 Ghost Ogre. I think this card's a really solid hand trap right now as well. It's really good specifically in the Vanquish Soul matchup because you can get the field spell. And it just has good coverage in general. So definitely like the 2 Ogres. Then he played 2 Meows. I sold mine a little bit ago, so gotta proxy them. But I think this card has decent application right now, especially if you're cutting down on Lancia. This is another card you can put in against Malice. It has pretty good application against Yummy on your turn and stuff like that in this format. You can use it on your turn a decent amount. So it's a pretty good card. I definitely don't hate the inclusion of it at all. Then the 1 Crossout and the 1 Talents. He mentioned that both of these cards were really bad for him during the event, and this isn't surprising to me at all. I think Crossout has felt terrible to me this format, honestly, because there's way too many different things that you need to be worried about when it comes to other decks just having turn 0 plays like the Phimena and Draco Tail or the K9 Azuna, and the Crossout just doesn't do anything against that. There's a lot of people playing Dominus Impulse or Dominus Purge or just other cards that you're not going to be playing in your deck, so I really don't like Crossout this format for the most part. And Talents, same thing. Sometimes you're getting hit by those hand traps that just don't trigger this, and it can feel really bad. I think Talents is fine still, but Um, it's just kind of hit or miss. I'd rather just play hand traps at that point. But I think if you want to side it for like a going first card, it's perfectly fine as well. They played the one Duster. It's just Duster. It's a good card. Then in addition to the Dusters, he played the Lightning Storms. I think these are pretty good right now. All three of them just to hit back row. Sometimes Lightning Storm can hit monsters. It's just a pretty good card in general. And then the last card in his side deck was a Rivalry of Warlords, which I think is interesting. Since you're only ending on dinosaurs, so just being able to make this can be very good. Even if your meteor would blow this up, you can still play this and then just kind of flip it, and they might not be able to out this at all, so you won't even need the nukes, which would be pretty good. So, and then if they do happen to out this card, you still have all your Jurac stuff loaded up, ready to go. So, if you back up your board with a rivalry, there's really no breaking that if it's against a deck that is hindered by this. So, I definitely think it's an interesting tech for going first. I think it's probably the most like spicy card in the list for sure, and I'll definitely give this one a try. I think another card that you can consider that's in the same like area as Rivalry is Gozen maybe, since you have a lot of fires, but that would kind of hinder the UCT on turn 3 potentially. If you have like some fires sticking around, so maybe Gozen isn't the best, but it's just something to think about, I guess, since there is a lot of fires. Maybe it can be good into a format. But I think Rivalry is like the better one for sure in this deck. But yeah, that's the deck. I think it's pretty standard for the most part, as far as like a more pure Jurac dinosaur goes. And again, huge congratulations to the guy that got top 8. Hopefully, there's more good regional finishes for the deck in the near future. And like I said, I'll leave a link to his video in the description if you want to get more of a in-depth explanation on some of his choices. Maybe he went a little more in-depth on it than I did. So I just wanted to go over the deck and kind of share some of my thoughts on it. And that's going to be it for this video. Take care. Thanks for watching. Peace.